Hey folks, Jay here, First Direct Corp. I have another video demonstration for you folks to talk about some things we can do with GoldMine. I recently had a customer ask about the ability to send automated SMS messages via a GoldMine AP, an GoldMine automated process. So he wants to be able to build an automated process within the GoldMine, which is a workflow process. And as part of that process, one of the things that he would want to do is send an SMS message automatically through GoldMine. And so I did some research, and knowing that yes, that can be done, but to go ahead and figure out how to do it and what can be done, etc. I wanted to show you and show others that yes, this can be done, and give them a sense of what's involved with doing that. So in this particular case, let me move this over. This customer had asked about Vonage. Vonage has what they call an SMS API, which is a programmatic API. There are many services like Vonage. I've mentioned Twilio. I know Ring Central has an SMS capability. So there are lots of services that allow you to send SMS messages. And the key here is an SMS API, a service provider that is an SMS API that allows us to send messages programmatically. In this case, this customer wanted to use like their existing phone system with Vonage, and from the research I did with Vonage, they really needed to pay for an SMS API to be able to do what they want to do. They wouldn't be able to use their regular business phone number like you would do with your cell phone and your cell phone number. You know, when you send what they call person to person SMS, this is more like um, uh, a application A to P, application to person SMS messages, right? This is programmatic. This is not conversational SMS. You may get a lot of SMS marketing messages today. A lot of businesses are doing that. I know I get them occasionally from some organizations that I've signed up for and contacted online. I get a lot of messages from them. And typically, if you respond with the word stop, they should stop sending you messages. They should have something in their message that tells you can opt out by responding with stop. But in either case, anyway, in either way, that is the case. There are service providers. In this case, we're talking about Vonage SMS API. Again, I know there's Twilio.com has an SMS API. I know that I've done things with Ring Central and Ring Central's SMS capability. So the point is that yes, there are lots of service providers, but how do we go about integrating GoldMine with one of those service providers? So today we're going to talk about Vonage and their SMS API. This is you're looking at right now this is a free developer account that I signed up for. They give me a couple of $2 worth of balance of $2, which allows me to do some testing and sending of SMS messages to make sure my integration is working. But there's a lot that goes into it with Vonage. You know, there's a lot of restrictions in the U.S. and you need to sign up and buy a toll-free number or use a regular 10 DLC digital long digit character number, and we need to sign up for a brand and a campaign. So there's a lot of work that's involved with using Vonage to be able to send messages. But I've, I have a developer account, and we're going to talk about how we went about doing that. But if you're interested in Vonage SMS API, take a look at it, take a look at their pricing, and we're going to show you here in a second how to go about what's involved with integrating them. So here in my GoldMine, what I'll do is I'll demonstrate it, and then we'll get into the more technical things. So first thing the customer wanted to do is he wanted to be able to create an automated process. So here I am in my GoldMine in my automated process, and what I initially decided to make this work, what we're going to do is we're going to update a field in GoldMine with a message. So I'm going to go to the properties of this event, and basically this is update this field, you SMS message to trigger an SMS. So we're immediately going to do that. Again, we could say, hey, schedule this. We could do this based off some other thing happening, but the trigger of this is immediately we're going to do that. And what are we doing? We're going to update a field. And so inside this message here, inside this dbase expression, and this dbase expression basically is some text contained in double quotes. We need to put a message, and this is a test message to be sent, yada, 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 ASDF. So this is the message that you want to have sent automatically as part of your automated process. So you type this message in. And again, that could be something to the sense of, maybe you're shipping something and you want to attach this process to any customers that are, whose package has shipped. And maybe this message says, hey, your package is on the way. Here's your tracking number, I guess you wouldn't do tracking, but you could simply say, hey, your message is on the way. Thank you for your business, right? You could send a message to the person to let them know that their package is on the way. Or you could say, hey, you could ask a question here, and if they respond with a yes, we could update something in the GoldMine. But for the most part, this is your message, right? This is your message to the contacts as part of your workflow for some AP. And so that's the first thing. Inside this record in GoldMine, there's a field here called SMS message. So this is the field down here. This is a 160 character message. And so that's what that AP is doing. That AP workflow is going to update this field with that message when I attach that AP, right? So as part of my workflow, and again, there may be other steps in that AP. That AP may be scheduling call, maybe sending an email, and maybe doing a whole bunch of other things, but eventually it'll come to the part where it wants to send an SMS message. So you just have to build that into your workflow for the AP. And that, again, this AP, this event in the AP process is going to update this field in GoldMine with some value. Now, what I've done is I've gone out and I've written a SQL trigger. A SQL trigger is basically something that says, hey, when something happens in the SQL database, inside the GoldMine database, let's do something else. So I've basically written a SQL trigger that says, hey, let's go out to the contact2 database table. Let's look at that and wait for an insert update of a field. So we're looking for an update of this USMS message field. And when that field is not empty, if it's not empty, we're going to send some data, the account node, the phone 3 field, and the body of the message as a message to a webhook URL, right? So we're going to take the phone number, the account number, and the message that they want to have sent to the contact as a webhook, if that makes sense, right? So we're sending this data to a webhook script. This webhook script is going to use the GoldMine RESTful API. So here is my webhook script. My webhook script is accepting that account now, the phone, which is the cell phone, and the message from the GoldMine database. So SQL is sending this to a webhook hosted on a self-hosted web server in our office that is talking to our GoldMine database. And in this case, this webhook is also talking to the Vonage SMS API. So the webhook is talking to GoldMine and it is talking to Vonage to do a bunch of things. The next thing we're doing is we're taking that message and we're sending that message via my developer account to the phone number. Right, so we're sending the message to the phone number, and this is my developer phone number that they gave me for my trial account, which basically allows me to send like a couple hundred messages. And here's the call to the uh, Vonage SMS. Now you'll notice this Nexmo.com. Vonage purchased Nexmo, and so they're still using their URL, rest.nexmo.com. I assume at some point they'll probably change that to rest.vonage. Something at some point. But yes, Vonage purchased Nexmo, so it's still using the Nexmo API calls. I did speak with somebody over there at Vonage, and they did mention there were updates and things coming to their API at some point for that. But basically, that's what's happening. So this webhook grabs that data, formats a message, and then sends that message to Vonage to send that message. Vonage returns a result to us. They return a result code to us that says, hey, your message was sent, or maybe it wasn't sent, etc. If it was sent successfully, which means the status code from this result that they return is they return a status. If the result is 0, it means the message was sent successfully. Well, if that's the case, my GoldMine API, I'm creating a GoldMine history entry in that record with that account now, and then basically the reference will say SMS was sent, and then the message from um, that was sent. So if the SMS is sent successfully, we want to record that in the history of the record in GoldMine. If it was not sent, if there was an error, we're going to basically create a history record of the fact that the message could not be sent with the error code, and then a link to the troubleshooting guide, which allows you to review um, whatever code might be causing your sending to fail. So let me move this over here. I'll show you that. Let me go ahead and grab this URL. So I'm going to grab this and put this over here into my dashboard. So if we scroll down here, they're going to send the Vonage API will send a 0 is successful, 1 is means it's being throttled, 2 is missing parameters, 3, etc. So there's all these status codes that we could look at. I'm going to record this code, and I can basically refer back to this documentation to determine why that may have errored, which will give me some insight into what may have caused it to fail. And that's basically my webhook. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to test this with you. So here I am on this Jay's test record. Here is a cell phone number I'm going to send the SMS to, right? It's in the phone 3. So your GoldMine would need to be set up. Every record in your GoldMine would need to have a unique field for storing the cell phone number, right? Because we're sending SMS. We can't send SMS to non-mobile numbers. So this is the mobile number for this record that I want to send that to. And every record in GoldMine that you want to do this with would need to have a cell phone in the same field in the phone 3. Now, what I would suggest is that you create actually a second phone number field, and I'll kind of go over that and explain that towards the end here. And that's for managing opt-outs when somebody unsubscribes or chooses not to receive. So in this case, I'm using the phone 3 field, but I'll explain here towards the end why I would suggest using another field for that. You'll notice here in the history, there is nothing in the history related to this web API user, which is the user I used to record my history. So here I'm going to trigger that AP. So I'm going to go to from my process, and I'm going to attach my SMS message. I'm going to go ahead and attach that AP. And I just got a message. I don't know if you heard it, but my cell phone tinged, and there's the message. I'm going to go to the history. And you'll see here now in the history, there is my SMS. SMS messages are sent, and that's the message that we sent that was put in from that automated process in GoldMine. I could have updated the code and the result code with some more information, etc. But for the most part, yes, that is working. Now let me do this. I'm going to change this phone number. I'm just going to change this to something else. And I'm going to try to send that SMS message again. I want to show you what's going on with the processes. So I'm going to attach that process again and try to send another message. Now you'll notice here in the history, I've got SM message cannot be sent. So if I look at this, the status code here is 29. Well, if I click this link, it's going to bring up my developer code. And so if I look down at the status 29, non-whitelisted destination, my Vonage account is still in a demo mode. While in demo mode, you must add target numbers to your whitelisted destination list or top up your account to remove this limitation. So basically, I can only send to numbers that are whitelisted in my destination list. I haven't whitelisted anything, so that number I changed my cell phone number to is non-deliverable, so it's failing. So only number I have currently listed is this cell phone number. So that's why it failed. So I know that because I'm in demo mode. But that's a successful send. That's a failed send. Now I could certainly do other things in addition to creating history. You know, I could set up a response. So I haven't gotten to that point yet in my API integration, but let's say somebody were to respond now and say stop, right? Maybe they don't want to receive any more messages. And this is where that secondary phone field comes in. So I would create a custom field and store the cell phone number also in this new custom field. And I would use this new custom field, this phone 4 field, for sending the SMS messages, right? So right now I'm grabbing this field, but I would suggest grabbing it from this custom field. And if someone opts out, we update the phone 4 field with like the word stop or opt out or something like that. And as part of the trigger I can say, hey, let's only do this if that you phone field is, not equal to stop, right? Only do the workflow, only send the message with the SQL trigger if the phone for field does not equal stop, right? We're going to update it with stop when they unsubscribe. And therefore, in our AP process, if somebody tries to send a webhook, it'll stop because the phone number doesn't equal a phone number, right? And that way, your phone 3 field in GoldMine will always still be valid. You can still call the person, you just can't send them an SMS message. So by having these two fields, one with an SMS, the cell phone number for sending SMS, and one for the cell phone for calling, is going to allow you to have that and still be, you know, able to use it in a sense to dial. You're just not going to be able to use it in your automation in your APs for sending SMS messages. Now, the SMS API has this webhook feature. Let me go bring that up over here. I'll bring this over again. I'm going to sign into my thing. So they have this webhook feature, what they call an incoming webhook. Let me go to my API dashboard. And most of these SMS APIs do. So we can look at API settings. So they have what they call an inbound SMS webhook. So an inbound SMS will be forwarded to this URL. You can optionally set a different URL for each of your Vonage numbers by clicking Manage on your numbers page. So each phone number, you can have multiple phone numbers, and each phone number has their own inbound SMS webhook. So in this case, when someone responds to your messages, we can deal with them programmatically using an incoming webhook. So right now I'm using a webhook to send a message, but I can create a webhook, a separate webhook URL for receiving inbound. And again, that would be used for if somebody responds stop, unsubscribe them. Maybe in my messaging, I might say, hey, so and so, are you interested in X? Are you interested in Y? Or interested in Z? And if they respond X or they respond Y or they respond Z, based on their response, I can do something in the database programmatically, automatically based on that response. So maybe the message is marketing about, hey, are you interested in receiving information or are you interested in, XYZ product? And if they respond yes, okay, go ahead and to that message, yes, update a field with a value yes, or do something in the database. Schedule a call for a sales rep. Are you interested in speaking to a sales rep about how we can assist you in XYZ, right? So now your SMS messages are going out, people can respond, and automatically we can update the database in some way. Schedule a call, update a field, create a history, send an email. We can programmatically respond to those answers and deal with those answers in a automated way, a programmatic way. So that's a kind of a nutshell. SMS messaging automation through GoldMine. Again, I'm using Vonage SMS API, but you could use Twilio SMS API. There's Ring Central. There's lots of them out there. There's quite a few. Um, and basically, they all work in very much the similar way. There are some restrictions and things you need to do to set up and get your account configured. But as far as integrating GoldMine with an SMS service, yes, it is possible. It can be done, and that's hopefully what you get from this demonstration today. If you're interested in setting up something like this, some sort of automated SMS functionality or capability, let us know. The only other thing I wanted to mention is I could certainly be on this record, right? I could be on a record and manually type a message here, right? Uh, hey, Jay, this is me. Can you give me a call? And then maybe put my number in here, right? I could put some number in here. So I could certainly do something like that, and that message is going to go out. And if I go into the history, I just got my alert. Boom, here it is. Hey Jay, this is me. So that's the message that was sent to this cell phone number for this customer, just by me typing a message into the Goldmine field, right? So I could send an SMS message just by typing something into a field in Goldmine. Now you'll notice that once I've entered it, it is gone. It is deleted. Well, that's all being done through the SQL trigger, right? So once I've sent the message to my webhook, I want to remove that message. I want to update that record and blank it out, right? And that's basically how, because if I go to the record and I might update some other contact to field, I don't want to re-trigger that message. This message is only getting triggered if the message is not blank. So if I left that message there, if somebody went in and updated the contact to database and updated some other field that's in the contact to database table, if somebody updated a field, it would trigger that message again and again and again. And I don't want to keep sending that message. I want to send it once and then delete it. So that's what's happening. You'll notice as soon as I entered it, it's gone. It's no longer there. But that's pretty much it. I think that covers everything. If you have an interest, if you are interested in talking about it, please do give us a call here at First Direct, 845-221-3800, or send us an email. Thank you.